talk a little bit more about toddler and preschool obesity. So you can see on the obesity slide, anybody who is above that 95th percentile are considered obese. And we have about 12.4% from 2 to 5-year-olds fall into this category, and approximately 17-ish% from 6 to 9 years old also fall under the category of being obese. So prevention here is key. If a child starts out its life being obese, they're going to have numerous complications as they get older. I had mentioned that first night of class talking about how diabetes can increase the risk for renal failure. And with this renal failure, we are really seeing a lot of deficits and malnourishment, etc. Just tons of complications. They're not really sure what to do because now kids are getting diabetes so much younger. So it used to be adult onset diabetes, and now it's called type 2 diabetes. People typically didn't get diabetes until they were around 65-ish. That's why it was called adult onset, but now we're seeing people with type 2 diabetes at the age of 5, 6, 7 years old. So it's really important that we can control this obesity. So obesity, gain height they want to gain height while maintaining their weight. This is really important. We don't want to put any child on any type of weight loss plan. We really want to encourage maintaining that appropriate weight gain instead of having excessive weight gain. So there may need to gradually lose weight. However, we do want to encourage them to lose weight through eating properly and exercise, not putting them on any type of weight loss diet. We don't want to restrict their caloric intake because they are still growing, but it's important to have the calories coming from the appropriate foods. So let's talk about treatment. Stage 1 is prevention, so we really want to target behaviors. What happens is you learn these early eating or feeding patterns, as you all discussed in your discussion board, talking about how you remember from your early childhood, maybe this is the way you ate growing up. Now those are those same eating patterns. So we really want to nip this in the butt right when they're young. So we want to limit sugary sweetened beverages. You can develop a taste palate and crave these sweetened beverages, or you can dislike them because you're not used to having this high sugar beverage. So it's really important to limit those sugary sweetened beverages. We want to encourage a lot of fruits and vegetables. They're going to be eating those essential vitamins and minerals to provide that optimal growth nutrients. We want to limit them to any type of screen time or TV time, videos, movies, etc. And we really want to have no more than 2 hours max. And this is important because so many kids are now sedentary and just sit in front of a TV and maybe eat that we really want to get them physically active. Eating breakfast daily can help them combat this obesity. Limiting eating out. This has to do with the portion sizes of eating out as well as the extra fat and sodium and sugar that is used when cooking and dining out. We want to allow them to eat foods that are rich in calcium and fiber following those DRIs. This is going to help promote optimal growth. 60 minutes of vigorous activity is recommended daily, so it's really important to get those kiddos out moving around in order to have them have that healthy cardiovascular system or healthy heart. And again, you want to limit those energy-dense foods. So you can see this girl here is trying to decide between an apple and a donut. That donut is going to be considered an energy-dense food. Very high in calories, very high in fat, very high in sugar. Where that apple is very nutrient-dense. A lot of fiber, a lot of nutrients, a lot of vitamins, and good complex carbohydrates. Now, stage 2 is if it does become some type of disaster to where we do need to intervene and have some kind of weight management program, we will have a structured daily eating plan. We really want to have them limit to 1 hour of screen time instead of that 2-hour max. We want to monitor their food logs to make sure that they're not over-consuming the caloric needs that their body needs to grow, but also promoting some type of weight management program. And using motivational interviewing can be really encouraging. Motivational interviewing is a type of interviewing process that you can encourage the child by asking them a series of questions, and it's going to come from them, and they're basically going to be motivating themselves to make these changes to promote weight loss. So an example of motivational interviewing would be if I sat down as a dietitian with a kid who is in a structured weight management, I will simply ask him, what do you see as a consequence if you continue to eat this fast food or eat these sugary foods or drink the sugary beverage long term? And sometimes we have to guide them along because maybe they don't quite know the complications yet. But hopefully that they can understand and recognize that if they don't start to eat more, they're going to continue to gain weight, and then this can cause complications. Stage 3 is when it can get a little bit more severe, where we're going to have a comprehensive multidisciplinary intervention. This includes a multidisciplinary team. So it could be a team of physical therapists, registered dietitians, physicians, psychologists. Really, it's going to approach that child in a holistic manner, which I can't even tell you how appropriate that is, because there's so many underlying psychological issues that people have related to food, either overeating or undereating, whatever that problem with the dietary intake may be. So they may have weekly visits with this multidisciplinary team. The food intake is monitored extremely well because we want to make sure that we're providing enough nutrients, enough calories, but then that they are also not having too many calories to where we can promote some type of weight gain or weight loss if that is the goal. Here we're talking primarily about obesity, so that weight management is really going to be key here. Always encouraging physical activity, so that's where a physical therapist would come into play. Parent involvement is super important. Ultimately, mom and dad are the ones out grocery shopping and providing food to that child, so we want to make sure that it's an entire family overhaul and intervention. It's really important that if these kids are losing weight, if they're at that need to where they really do need to lose weight because it's life-threatening, we want to keep weight loss to about a pound per month. Now, for us as adults, it's about 1 to 2 pounds per week, so you can see the drastic difference here. So let's look at the importance of parental obesity. This little picture here says age 2 to 5, and then it goes down to show the different weight management. So if an age 2 to 5-year-old is between the 85th and 95th or 94th percentile, then they need to go on weight maintenance. Anything above the 95th percentile, we really want to do weight management until they're under 85%. And then this is pretty rare, but if their BMI is over 21 or 22, we want to encourage that gradual weight loss, but again, noting no more than 1 pound per month. This is really the only appropriate part to where we're going to encourage that weight loss, but extremely monitoring that food intake to ensure no deficiencies in nutrients. So let's talk about what influences these food choices as a little kid. Little kids naturally prefer sweet, salty, and familiar foods, as we have already discussed prior in this lecture. Parents' influence is huge. Monkey see, monkey do. We really want to set a good role model as parents, and I often think that this is where a huge downfall is. Nutrition knowledge is important, so if a parent doesn't know proper nutrition knowledge, then it's hard for them to actually teach and prepare food for their child. We've seen a lot of studies where they have analyzed the nutritional content of home-cooked meals for lunchboxes, and they're actually deficient in a lot of nutrients that these kids need, and that's simply because parents don't understand enough about nutrition. But they do want to be a role model, so they should be actively seeking that nutrition knowledge in order to influence that child. TV is huge, so we know that advertisement does play a role in increasing the intake of food, especially if you walk down the cereal aisle. Cereal boxes are covered with kid cartoons, and usually the high sugary ones, right? It's not your Bran Flakes or Cheerios that have the little kids on it, or the kid cartoons, and that's really what we want for our kids. That's going to be the really most important piece for them because it has those whole grains in them. So what are some early research that we did? Pediatricians decided that precise amounts and types and frequencies of food for 7-month to 3-year-olds. They noted how to transition from suckling to adult foods and how this period was made over 3 to 4 years. So an incredible adaptation to the environment and increase in their food intake and variety happens within those first 4 years of life. Infants, it is believed that they lack that ability to regulate their own food intake, and that's where some of the research comes in question because, well, the baby can cry and we know that they may be hungry. Some other research that was done was in 1928. Claire Davis, she was a pediatrician. She did feeding experiments for 7 to 9-month-olds for about a year. So again, this is pretty valid information because they followed them over an entire year. They provided infants could be healthy and grow on self-selected diets of a single ingredient or healthy foods. So in other words, this is often misquoted and used to rationalize letting child graze freely for food. However, we do want to set some type of standard to where they are having structured meals and snacks, and providing them options. So we're not just giving them free range, like, hey, you can have anything and everything you want, but rather saying, you can have a little bit of this option, and you can choose between apples or carrots, whatever you may want. We also have sensory specific satiety. This found that children and adults are tired of even favorite foods, and they choose to dislike some of those favorite foods. But preschoolers are tuned in to the taste of foods that are far more likely to eat in response to how foods taste to them compared to adults. So Leanne Birch was actually the one to kind of figure this piece out. So lots and lots of research has been done with kids and their food patterns. Jean Skinner surveyed moms who complained about picky eaters, strong kids who liked or disliked a couple of foods, and she coined a neophobia. This basically means fear of new. So we realized that kids really do fear these new taste buds or these new tastes that they're exposed to. So this could take anywhere from 10 to 20 times before they learn to like that food. So bottom line, Ellen Sater is this amazing dietitian, and she has put together a collection of all of this research, and she says that you need to put in charge the family the family should be in charge of the menu. You need to have 3 meals with planned snacks in between. Again, this is going to allow that structure for that kid. Do not allow them to panhandle for food or beverages. So that means that we don't want them to snack or kind of maybe go over to Auntie's house and say, hey, can I have this soda? We want to manage that time and help the child be calm. And also we want them to be hungry but not completely starving to where they're going to devour their food. We want to include the toddler in family meals. So oftentimes parents will feed their kid first, let them play, and then they will eat. This is a big no-no. We want them at the dinner table, and we want to have that conversation around the table. We do want to let that toddler choose what and how much she wants and what you offer. From what you offer is the key part here. Because you're not going to provide them anything they want in the kitchen, but rather you're going to prepare the foods that you prepared and let them choose what they want from that meal. Ellen Sater extremely well explains this concept, which you guys will be exploring her website. So you're going to let the child eat as much or as little as they want. With kind of cues of encouraging them, asking them, are you full? Are you hungry? So they can learn to hone into what those hunger feelings feel like and what those satiety feelings feel like. We want to present food in a variety of ways. So different forms, different textures, different temperatures. So for example, baked apples versus apple slices versus apple sauce. All of them have very different textures, but it's the same food. So we want to let them eat it in their own way. So they can touch it, they can feel it, they can smell it, they can smash it. Really, that sensory integration is really key for the development, and learn to like these new foods and play with these new foods is very important. Again, we've already talked about this of not letting them clean the plate, and even adults. So we want to make sure that we check into those full signals, so we don't have to eat everything that's presented in our meals. We want to pay attention to the toddler, but also we don't want them to be the complete center of attention. We can drive the conversation as adults. This will allow them to build those social skills. So children are meeting their energy needs according to a couple of different studies. They do tend to be high in protein and fat. Vitamin D, E, folic acid, and zinc are low. So overall, their diets are typically higher in sugar, and snacks come from about 23% or about a quarter of their total calories. So you can see that this is why snacks are essential for these growing kiddos. We really want to focus on those foods that are high in vitamin D, E, folic acid, and zinc, because this is still a problem area. A public program that is available for this age group is called WIC. WIC is called Women, Infant, and Children. The goal of WIC is to improve their growth through iron and diet quality, and this is all going to be for children that are under 5 years old, specifically this Head Start program. Head Start increases readiness for school, and they also have SNAP, which is available that can help low-income families. So WIC is really good at providing education to new moms and little kids to really hone in on the importance of diet quality. So it's a great public program that's available, and you can actually check out their website for more information of foods that are allowed and that are not allowed. So this does conclude the Toddler Nutrition lecture.